Overton. My work focuses on making space for underestimated people in the tech industry. And for a long time, women have definitely been underestimated. Tell you what, not anymore. We have a dynamic panel of women who are here to talk to you. They're going to talk about what opportunities in Web3. They're going to talk about the future of Web3, and they're going to talk about how to get more women and girls in this space. So, without further ado, welcome to the stage, Mec Zilla, Tal Navarro, Becky Litvintchouk, Brooke Lacey, Camille Hardman, and Cory Clay. Come on, ladies. So, before we get into the real deep questions, I want to get to know these ladies a little bit more. So can you just start off by telling us a little bit in terms of who you are as a person, your work, and why you're excited about Web3. I'm going to start from the end over here. So, Cory, go on and kick us off.
Hi, guys. Shout out. I love these. I love you guys. I'm wearing a couple of hats here for the woman led part of the program here. Obviously, I represent Cryptonaires, and we have a show that definitely advocates for women in the space. When I started this space about 2 years ago, I didn't have very many soft landing places, and I had some pretty harsh experiences as a woman in the space. So I wanted to ensure that I could, create spaces that were soft landing spaces for women. So we did that within the Cryptonaires group, where we have a woman-led project that creates content on YouTube called Around the Clock. And then we have a Crypto Through the Tulips room that is just women. Oh, sorry about that, guys. And so I also represent International Women's Blockchain, which is doing a whole entire conference online for women in March for International Women's Month, where we want to get 5,000 women on blockchain.
That's what's up. All right, make some noise, y'all. Give it up. All right, Brooke, what's up?
What's up with you?
Trying to be like you.
Yo, look at how fancy everybody is. I'm like, where's my black suit? This would be cool. So it's been a while since I've talked to you all, just about an hour. I'm just kidding, so what else can I say? I've been a woman in tech for a very long time. I've worked with some amazing groups, but I've kind of always been an island in the software development field. I did some very corporate-y things back in the day, ran a help desk. I actually loved tech support. You probably never heard that sentence before, but it's true. I love being that, like, bridging the gap between the super technical and the business, or the everyman, every woman. Currently, again, I wear a lot of hats as well. Part of that is doing social media, and I take it very seriously, the education behind short form video and what I do on TikTok. I'm kind of obsessed with teaching women financial literacy, and that comes with crypto. I've been crypto investing for a very long time, and financial literacy for women is so needed because sometimes we don't take control of our own finances. And being somebody in tech, I've never really had to worry about that kind of stuff. So it dawned on me, doing some of these videos and hearing this from women, that there just needs to be more encouragement, more education, and coming from a woman, sometimes it's a little bit easier. But some of these ladies that I've met in Web3, woof, you're killing it, girls, you're killing it.
All right, who's following you? I need to know who's following you on the TikTok. Is everybody following Brooke on TikTok? If you're not, how do people follow you?
Oh, God. Just good luck to you, because it's a rabbit hole. I don't just do crypto tech educational stuff. I do ogle shirtless lumberjacks, and I have some laugh reacts. So there's 15 million video views on the hashtag Brooke's Laugh. I'm not kidding. So it's just Brooke J. Lacey. I'm Brooke J. Lacey on all platforms. Again, it's a rabbit hole. Good luck to you. Give it about 3 hours and come back to me.
All right, y'all make some noise for Brooke. All right, Camille, tell us about yourself, Camille.
Hi, I'm Camille Hardman. I'm relatively new to the Web3 space. I am a documentary maker, but I also love being involved in disruptive technologies. I started off doing science and tech at university and then waylaid and found myself as a documentary maker. But I've always been very interested. I've been investing in crypto probably for the last 4 or 5 years. I've invested in women-led startups, in fashion, in health tech, and also in advertising, so there's a bit of that. So the last documentary that I've made with my 2 wonderful partners down there is called Still Working 9 to 5, and it follows the journey of women in the workplace over the last 40 years and how that has and has not changed. So I think it's a really interesting place to be in, because a lot of people will say, no, women, they're fine. But as we all know, there's still a huge amount of sexual harassment. There's unequal pay. There is lack of maternity leave, and childcare is still a huge issue. So I'm very interested in Web3 for a number of reasons. As a documentary maker, I'm very interested because it's women able to own their own IP. And as we know, in most media space, no one owns their own IP, and this gives us the opportunity. We don't have to sell to a distributor, we don't have to sell to some sort of media baron. We can retain that stake, and then we can share that stake with others in our community. And also, the community that also shares the same vision and that can carry that message forward.
Now,
So thank you.
Who's seen 9 to 5? Has anybody seen the movie? Watch the movie, and then you're gonna watch the documentary. Give it up, y'all, for Camille. All right, next, Becky. Tell us about yourself, Becky.
Hi, my name is Becky. I'm just gonna leave it at Becky because my last name is very hard to say. I am a woman in Web3. I am the co-founder of New Earth Media, which what we are doing is we are helping brands map out long-term projects. I'm bullish on long-term projects to facilitate their communities, to create long-term value for their end user, their consumers, through the NFT ecosystem. And in my Web2 life, because I am still also in a Web2 life, I work in marketing. I am on the brand side of the creator marketplace, so I'm the one that vets out the creators, writes up contracts, does the creative campaign. I work hand in hand with creators and influencers, and kind of like facilitating that as well. And I recently got into Web3 because it really started by helping influencers, creators, small creators that were putting out content, kind of get paid from the brands that they were creating user-generated content for. And it got me thinking, like, there are so many people creating like real good, authentic, user-generated content for brands, and they're not getting paid for it. And that kind of like sent me down a rabbit hole. And believe it or not, that was actually my access point into the NFT world. So, yeah.
All right, everybody, give it up for Becky. All right, I'm super excited, even though we have heard from Mec before, I'm super excited to hear from Mec again. Mec is a total rock star in this space. Yes. So, there may be some people who weren't here earlier today, so tell us about yourself and why you're excited about Web3.
I didn't even introduce myself earlier, so this is probably good. First of all, you and I have to talk. Because what was interesting about what you said is that you came in from the brand side looking at what creators could do in the space, and I was coming into it from the creator side, trying to figure out how to leverage brands better as I build community, right? And this is, I'm pointing this out because I think this is really important to the way that I work in the space. So I'm an educator in the space. My name is Mec. I come from 23 plus years of design, visual language in product and advertising. Over the last 5 years, I got into industrial design. And then getting into industrial design, I was commissioning furniture. I decided I didn't want to buy IKEA furniture. I wanted to be an adult and get permanent things, and was hiring people. And as I was hiring people to build what I wanted, I remembered when I was 16 and had a woodshop class in high school that I really wanted to do this myself. So I started to learn, and my first project was I wanted to learn to woodwork. So I am now sponsored by the Home Depot as a builder and a welding company after 5 years of solving problems for myself. And that's why I got into, well, I shouldn't say that's why, but that's how I got into the NFT space. Looking in Clubhouse, listening, trying to understand how to be better at the internet to make full-form content. And then ultimately, as I was seeing the hurdles and all of the pain points of my learning, and I'm someone who's come from 23 years of tech, design, fashion, all these things. I understand all of that, and I get to the NFT space and go, what? And so I started to want to share that more. And now I'm working primarily through Twitter Spaces, building a community, sort of like a ecosystem that can be sustainable for people to come into this space, be upskilled, find a way to capitalize in this space so that they can have real world impact on things that are important to them.
Great. Let's hear it from Beck. And then finally, last but certainly not least, Tal Navarro.
Tal and a half. So hi everyone, my name is Tal. Today I own a digital marketing agency, and we're focused also on the NFT aspect. But since I remember myself, I've been working. Since I remember myself, I was always kind of a business advocate since very young age. I think I started to work when I was 6 years old. Just taking out the kid from school. She was 2 years old or something, or 3 years old. Did babysittings, cleaned the building of my neighbors. Always looking for how to make the buck since a very young age. And I've always envisioned myself. I always put myself in a place where I wanted to build other women around me doing the same thing. So I was when I was 18, I went to the Israeli army. I was a lieutenant for 3 years in the Israeli army, and I served on the borders a lot. So I was always in a male-dominated places. And when I was 21 years old, I moved to New York and I established my first company ever. It was plumbing and constructions. Don't even ask, it's a long story. But somehow I started there. And my second company was when I was 24 years old in the Caribbean island somewhere, started with MySpace. And I've built a business from the digital world without even knowing what I was doing, but I was diving into it. And since then, consistently, I started to create businesses, and I grew on social media, and I created content, and I've always been there to educate, especially women, when it comes to be independent and do things for yourself, not be dependent on anyone else. Learn things by yourself, because I was autodidact. Everything I learned was on the computer. I didn't accomplish university and anything, but in 2011, I established the first college in Israel for social media. And it was running for 2 years, and I sold it after 2 years. And it was one of the biggest steps that I've done, that people got recognized the social media. Because when I established it, people asked me, why would you teach about Facebook? Who wants to know Facebook? That's like, only Mark Zuckerberg is going to make money from Facebook. And then 2 years after, everyone in my country were into Facebook, and that's why I was the social media college was really big at the time. So since then, I've been teaching and consulting, working a lot with women, non-profits, especially in Israel at the time when I used to live there. And then I moved here, and I work with, today we work with a big foundation for abandoned babies and mothers who are in need. We do it for a couple of years now, and I'm a very big advocate to everything when it comes to women, especially on Web3. When you ask me why am I so excited about Web3? Web3, it's the opportunity for not only women, for people who are struggling to take their journey to the next step, to make the money from what they have been built. So if we're talking about Web2, for example, people have built their fan base, their growth, their communities on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on different platforms, but they never knew how to actually monetize from it. Now comes this component of monetization for this hard work, because now when a musician has, for example, there are so many stories like this right now, but when a musician has a community that he has been building, he is able to make his fan base the ones who are going to get the real value. It's not anymore just a post on Instagram or something, but now they can actually get value by buying his stuff as NFTs and making the buck with him and grow with him, really grow with him. And it also opens so many opportunities to women who are either suppressed or in need for that freedom, and they cannot do it in the real world, and they cannot really do it in their day job, but they are able to do it if they get the right tools, and that's what I'm here for.
All right, great. Let's hear it for Tal. That's what's up. All right, so my first question for the panel really is going to kind of piggyback off of what Tal was just talking about in terms of thinking about the lessons that we learned from Web1 and Web2. What lessons have we learned, and then what opportunities do you see for individuals moving forward with Web3? And I just want to kind of chime in on this just for a minute. You know, I think about Web1 and Web2, and there are a lot of people who are left behind. Women, people of color, and I really see with Web3 an opportunity for us to build right from the beginning. And I'm just so pleased with NFT Connect because, first of all, we have this wonderful panel dedicated to powerful women in Web3, but then we've also seen powerful women on every single panel. And I think that says a lot about the people who have organized this. So special thanks to Vince and Ray and Richie and Mark and all the others who decided to be inclusive from the beginning. So who wants to just kind of chime in and talk about, lessons learned and opportunities?
Okay, so first of all, when it comes to talking about Web3, I think it's really, really important to reiterate, especially for people that don't really know what Web3 is, that it doesn't mean that what we did, I say we, not we, but what everybody did on Web2. Web2 created the platforms that allowed businesses to scale. It created, Amazon, social media. This allowed so many businesses to grow their community and to grow, their sales. And that's going to stay. I think it's important to know that we don't want what was accomplished on Web2 to go away. But what we are trying to do with Web3 is to allow the relationship so with growth, with scaling, a lot of times you lose that relationship that you have with your consumer, the end user. As communities grow, you lose the importance of communities. So what Web3 is building on top of Web2 is, bringing back that idea of that nurturing of the community, whether it's with businesses or it's with, creators and influencers. With the start of social media, influencers had fans. They had people that really, really liked their messaging, and as they grew on social media and had hundreds, thousands, millions of followers, a lot of the followers felt the same way, that you lose the connection, you lose the community. So what I think Web3 allows is to build that up again, is to build and nurture the relationships again, so you have so much more than just being a follower or an end user or a consumer.
I can add to that exactly what you said is so right. And I can give an example for a musician, for example, okay? What are you laughing? Someone wanted to chime in and I was jumping in? Okay, cool. So I just wanted to add to that exactly as I said before, you have an opportunity to actually give back to the community and to be able to bring them a real value in financial value, which is a really high value those days. And when it comes to musicians, just an example, a musician, today works with a record label. that actually advertise him and works hard for that. But when it comes to NFT, I saw a lot of musicians have just published their music on the NFT, and now their fans can become their record labels, and they are actually the ones who are publishing him out, and they are actually the ones who are going to make the money. So I don't say that it's not good to have a record label. Of course, there is a benefit for that, but at the end of the day, the community is able to leverage and feel connected to the creator by buying his things, and also resell it and make money of it and actually grow with him, because he keeps on growing on every sale.
Can I add a personal story?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Web2 for Web3, and I don't know about anybody else. I can speak for myself.
Hey, Cory.
Oh, y'all know. I'm a Generation Xer.
Generation X!
And when I've been through 2 recessions now, so you guys may be able to identify. Started off very great paying job as a government contractor during the Web2 era. Recession happened, aka depression, whatever you want to call it, and I'm working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And nothing was getting any better, and I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel for things to get better. Enter crypto and Web3. It changed my personal life. I didn't have to go to a job that I used to sit on the edge of my bed and cry because I didn't want to go to that job again. It didn't use any of my creativity, my talents. Ladies, if you're listening, Web3 is nothing but the feminine energy rising. It is creativity, it is receiving energy. And all of us, whether you're male, female, gay, straight, black, white, can benefit from that goddess energy. And that's what makes me so excited to be part of this. Because if I can do it, then I know there's so many other women out there that can do it too. And I want to share that. I want to be the disciple for Web3 because I personally experienced what it can do.
No, you're not. Listen, I was there in Web 1. Who was there in Web 1? Who was there with Windows 3.1? I was. Well, let me stop. Yes. When you had to you remember never mind. We'll do that later. But I feel like these are mindset shifts. Pets.com. Okay, we could just seriously have an entire panel about all of that. I really believe these are mindset shifts. For me, there's no light switch that goes off look, now we're in Web3. It doesn't really work like that. And as technologists, I don't know how many of you, were technologists back in Web 1. We were set up for life because we made ourselves assets. And we were the ones, it didn't come easy to me. I think I failed assembler code 6 times before I ever graduated. So for us, it was such a passion, but we were the assets. We were the ones that were building all of these things. So for me, it's a mindset shift. And going from one sort of generation of things to the next, we use those terms paradigm shift. For me, it's a mindset shift to understand, just like you said, this sort of feminine energy. We're all kind of going with it together. And I think with Web3, it's easier for those of us who are trying to educate about technology. It's easier for us to do it because we've got these cool JPEGs. That's all. Mec, over to you, my friend.
I've been thinking about this the entire time that you've been answering. And I can say this very concisely. What I learned from Web 1 is that information is king and that it could divide us. It could create a classism where people can be completely left out of this picture. What I learned from Web 2 is that capital is king and that it could divide us. And that if we continue to let companies and brands siphon money out of people through commerce, through manipulation, through FOMO and all of those things, you would create a class of people who can be left out completely. What I'm excited about for Web3 is that people have access to information and capital, and that it could actually unify us. You think about what it looks like for, and I love saying this, I say this almost every day, when PTA moms could spin up a DAO instead of doing a bake sale.
That's what's up.
That's it.
All right, so the next question that I want to ask really deals with like social issues. And I'm looking at you, Cory, because you said something earlier today that I was quite intrigued by. I know that you didn't really have time to go into it, but just thinking about how lives can be saved when we're thinking about blockchain and other Web3 technologies in general. Can you start us off in terms of, could you elaborate on that more? And then if the other panelists can kind of just think about what's the one social issue that you think that Web3 can help us overcome?
Again, absolutely love the possibility, because we're all living this, we're all making this stuff up as we go along. And that's the beauty and the terror of all of it. When I think about beyond the JPEG, what NFTs can do for the space in terms of, we talked about developing nations, I'm talking about, affecting things like climate change and the way we do social work, and the way that, Web2 has taught us that, you're a product. That's what you're worth, whatever it is you're worth to our stockholders and nothing more. So this gives people the absolute opportunity to flip that, on its head. What could we do in terms of if we had FEMA, for example, dealing with a DAO-like project, dealing with people who are actually living through the experience rather than governments top-down telling them, well, this is what you need. They know what they need. So there's so many endless possibilities for how Web3 can change lives, save lives as women. Again, NFT projects are great, but it's not the end-all be-all. Education is the primary thing that I see that needs to happen across the board.
I think, you want to jump in? Okay, cool. I love it, and I think that one of the things that women have been dealing for so many years, it's the discrimination and the fact that they are making less money when it comes to positions and in different organizations and corporates. And I think that one of the most beautiful things on the Web3 is the fact that everything is transparent. When it comes to the blockchain, you can see everything. There's no men and women. There are communities, there are people, there are souls, there are human beings, and we are all equal over there. There's no one makes more money because she's a female or he's a male. There's no discrimination, right as we speak. And it is very exciting for a lot of women who has been struggling in their daily job, in their 9 to 5, or in general with the behavior that they get from, they treated by their bosses or by the male in their workplace. There's none of this, as for now on Web3, and I do hope that that's gonna last for a long time. And I see it happen. I see it's gonna stay for a long time. I do think that that's the change that we were aiming for. And that's one of the things that are most important when it comes to female empowerment, that there are so many opportunities for women, so many things that they can do, and they can bring themselves out that a lot of times they cannot do in the real world and in the Web2 or in not in the Web3 area.
Somebody told me with Web3, nobody's going to care about your feminine or ethnic sounding name. You're just able to show what you can do. Yeah, that deserves some applause. Camille, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I did. Our whole documentary that we made was all about having equal pay with women. I mean, as we know, that has been something that is, pervasive in the world today, and all around the world. So if Web3 can, knock that on the head and we can be equal, that would be absolutely amazing. And I think the other thing that Web3 is good for, which has been an issue in Web2 to a certain extent, but also in traditional media, is the lack of storytelling by women. And as a long-form content creator, you know, it is the same people, even in Web2 now, they're becoming, you know, monocultures in many ways, and we are unable to get our stories out as much as we would like. So if Web3, you know, gives us the ability to, you know, have a message with like-minded community members, and they can have a stake in our storytelling, we can then tell the stories of those women and other traditionally unrepresented people in the media, that would be absolutely amazing.
If no one is, do you want to say? I just want to say that we have an ownership problem. We have an ownership problem we have since day one in Web3 and blockchain. I'm so obsessed with blockchain. It solves the ownership problem, and we're still working those things out. But it's like you can now breathe a sigh of relief because it is here. We are solving that ownership problem.
And we want to own our own IP. I think that is the most important thing.
Just to add to that, I would say we take it even a step further with ownership, especially coming from the creator economy, which is a $20 billion industry. There are so many creators that are creating content that because they don't have the relationship with the brands, they're not monetizing that content. And I think through that transparency, you know, everybody, and that will also create authentic content, that will also create more trust with the product and the brands, you know, because you know that somebody's not getting paid all this money just to sponsor, just to pump out content. But now to take it even a step further, imagine, you know, you have a viral piece of content, you're a content creator, you have a viral piece of content, you could use that as collateral, you know, one day to buy a house. Like there is just, you can take it so, and I don't think we're there yet, but you can, ownership means so much more, you know, than just making money off of your content. Like you can use that piece of content and do so much with it.
I think what I'm most excited about is people caring about people. I think it's an interesting thing. This space is much more people-centric than what we were doing previously. When I think about how I'm helping people come into the space, and what I suggest when I'm educating is to consider how you can help. What is the problem you're trying to solve for? What are you trying to fix, right? Because I think even if it's, you know, something as simple as I want to pay my rent so that I can keep making art, right? You can go from that range to I would like to solve world hunger, and you can see an actual path in these tools to do these things, right? And so for me, it's getting people to use these tools, but to the benefit of others. I'm really interested in seeing people taking care of people for the first time in a real way, because now you have an opportunity to generate massive amounts of money. It's not that small impact that you were gonna have at your local food bank. You can now spin up an entire food co-op, right? And I think when people start to think about what they can do to help, it's like the icing on the cake, because then you get to have fun and you get to build community and make shit tons of money and also look after folks. And I think when we start to do that and see that, the way our government works changes. People start to think about how they can participate in local politics because they're seeing governance in real time. You know, so I just want people to like see an opportunity to, you know, live a fun life, make money as they help other people.
Highly quotable tweet. People taking care of people. Tom?
I just wanted to address one thing. You know, in today's world, I am an Israeli. I grew up surrounded by countries that a lot of them, some of them, suppress women. You know, it's very hard for women to develop themselves, to get financial freedom, to be recognized as sometimes as a human being. There's a whole, but that's a different conversation. So I think that the Web3 is another opportunity that it lets those women, and from very young age, who are not able to actually go out there and meet other people or make their own financial decisions or growth, it lets them do that. The Web3 enable you an access to a different world where you can actually build yourself. It doesn't matter what country you're sitting on, what religious you are, what color you are, what language you speak. And I see all women as an inception, as the beginning of everything. They're creating life, they're powerful. It doesn't matter what country you are, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you grew up, it just matters that you have an access to the tools to create your own freedom and to really build yourself as a human being beyond all the boundaries that you have around you.
Cory?
Absolutely want to elaborate on what Tal just said, which is a beautiful thing. If you're a woman out there and you came into the space and you've been here for any amount of time and you learned crypto lingo, you know what HODL is, you know what NFT means, you know what it means when somebody says KYC, that's an education. That is no small feat. You have to stop, give yourself a pat on the back, because there is a very steep learning curve with this cryptocurrency, NFT, Web3 world. And if you've done that, then give yourself a pat on the back, celebrate that fact, because you've just empowered yourself and hopefully your entire family. It's no small feat.
Yeah, I just want to add something, because I was, I'm kind of absorbing and thinking through. When I think about people taking care of people, I think about what we know to be true, which is that women inherently have more compassionate work environments when they're leaders, right? And this is women taking care of people, right? Being the nurturers in the community. Not to say that only women can do this, but this is just a thing that we know women do well. There are certain roles that women were given that are detail-oriented because people assume that they would be better at it because they actually care when they do their work. And so it's really interesting to me to think about what impact women have in the space. Because, this panel is about powerful women, but I think about that focus on people taking care of people. It's also many women coming into the space. It's women being really good with the details so that they make the money, so that they then can take care of people. You know what I mean? And I think we're also seeing the space being shaped by those women, and that what has to happen in order for that to be real is that the men in this space have to give women that opportunity. And if that means taking a step back, if that means when you're in a space, making sure that women are being heard and they can speak and not being spoken over, and letting women teach everyone. Because I think when everyone becomes more compassionate and understanding and patient, you then get to a place where you can be more helpful. You understand what people need because you've actually heard them say it. So I just think about the impact that women are going to have in this space, specifically because we are much more interested in taking care of one another.
Right. I think that that's such an important point. And I just really want to kind of go back to the whole thing that I was talking about before with NFT Connect, making an intentional decision to include women throughout this convening. Oftentimes we hear, oh, I don't know where they are. It's not that women don't exist, you choose not to see them. So I appreciate being seen. Thank you, organizers. I have one last question for the panel before we take any questions from the audience, and I really think that this is a very important question, and that is, what advice would you give to women and even girls who want to maximize opportunities in the Web3 space? And I think that this is such an important question because it impacts every single person in this room. Either you are a woman or there is a woman in your life. Everybody here has either a mother, a wife, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, a niece, even a grandmother. As long as you're living, it's never too late to get in this Web3 space. Right, crypto grandma? So, what advice would you have for women and girls in this space?
Okay, I always feel like I have to go first because I'm gonna lose my thought. That's it, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. It stays in the brain for 5 seconds max. So the way I see it, I have a daughter. I have 2 daughters actually, but one is a teenager, so I'm thinking about her. But I grew up at a time, I'm sure everybody else in this room did also, where it was you can't really, it was follow your dreams and do what you love, but in the same breath, it was but if you want to make money, you kind of just have to do what brings in the money, and then just like leave your passion or your hobbies as a hobby. I think what Web3 is going to allow is for us, for the first time, probably maybe in the history of humanity, for us to really, really help girls, young women, really pursue their passion and really could live a very comfortable life. They could support families through their hobbies. I mean, when have you ever seen that ever happen in history? So I think that's the main thing. And also, I just want to add to that, you know, basically everybody was saying this, Web3 is all about nurturing communities. I think the future CMOs of the world are going to be community managers, you know, community facilitators. Anybody that is building a community is going to be the marketing officer of the future. And that role is best suited for females because let's face it, you know, females are the nurturers. They know how to, there's nobody that could grow a community and give and give and give more than a woman. So these are, and I say this all the time, like this is gonna fit the role of the marketing officer. It's gonna be all about community. And I just wanted to add to what she said about the feminine energy, that in Web2, we had like a very scarce mindset. It was all like, you know, closed IP, and I can't have you use my intellectual property because I need to monetize off of that, and I'm gonna lose out, while Web3 is all about, you know, open source. Now we have CC zeros, and that is the opposite. That is an abundance mindset, which is a feminine mindset, which is like, it doesn't really matter if you use my intellectual property because in the long term, we're all gonna gain from it. Like memes run the world, virality runs the world. Like why would we keep things closed? You know, the more that you benefit, the more we benefit. And that is something that, you know, again, playing off of the feminine energy and, you know, I guess circling back to the role of the female.
I love what you said, as always. As someone who has been a women advocate since so many years, I think that Web3 is really giving us an opportunity for educating starting with young age. Because at the end of the day, the future relies on the younger generation. I mean, I'm old already, and you know, probably the elder than me are also, the younger generation are the next generation. And since I remember myself, you know, my brand, my company name is Social Lady. My team has 10 women in it. Everything that's around me, I'm always trying to lift women up. And I think that the Web3 is letting us the opportunity to take that educational part and leverage it even more. For many, many years, I've been working with women, and it's always hard to explain, you know, to get them to the next stage. But when it comes to Web3, there are so many tools that we can give them. And really, if you are a woman out there and you're not sure where to start, go to Google, hit NFT, and start there. Start to educate yourself and ask for help. Women are from all over the world, afraid to ask for help, afraid to ask questions. But we are, I'm saying we because I am one of those who are here for you, and I'm sure all the women on this panel as well. And I'm sure you're gonna get so much help you don't even imagine. So just not to be afraid if you're asking about how to help women in the young age, not to be afraid to take the step and to step into it and to learn it and to understand it, because this world is we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We're just at the beginning of it. So it's such an exciting times. It's such an amazing moment in our lives that we are able to help each other and definitely grow other women in the space, that we have to do that.
Yep.
I was trying to think of a concise way to say what I want to say. I think the question was, what do I want to teach young girls? Yeah, they're wrong. That's what I want to teach them. I want women and young girls to understand that any of the things that they've ever heard that made them feel like they couldn't do it was completely wrong. This entire world is made up. This entire space is made up. Some dude somewhere got a check to do a thing and brought his buddies, and now we're crypto dick butts. Like, it is just whatever you want it to be. And what I know happens, and what I think we all understand happens, is in society, from the many years of systemic oppression against women, we don't believe that we can participate. We don't believe that we are smart enough, or that we have the capacity, or that, we're allowed. And I think that the thing that I would say is that whoever told you that was totally wrong. Just make it up.
I'd like to speak to that. I think the thing that's really important is value. Is everyone, as young girls, understanding their value and saying exactly what their value is. So in regards to content creation, it's retaining your IP. Do not give it away in a hurry, because that IP can stay with you for years and you can capitalize on that. But also there's your value of self. You can speak up, don't be scared, and Web3 will gives that ability for you to state who you are, state what your mission is, your own self, your self-worth, and why you have validity in the world.
I'll be quick, which is rare. A little bit of a story. My very first business was like 2009. Was computer repair business. It was really cool. And I would go and do these workshops and get girls into building computers, and we would take apart those old hard drives. And I remember their moms would drop them off and say stuff like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this. Like, it's so confusing to me and it's so difficult." And I'd be like, they can hear you, right? Like, don't, and like she said, you're either a mom or maybe you're an aunt or an uncle to a girl. They mimic you. They follow what you're doing. So if it's hard for you, how is it going to be easy for them? So whether you think so or not, make sure that your words match what you want for them.
Just to summarize it.
I was gonna say one thing I left out. So I teach welding to women and girls. This is sort of how I looked at the opportunity. It was, I want to learn this thing that seems weird and cryptic, but fun. I don't see any women doing it, but I don't think that's going to stop me from doing it. And so I go and do the thing, and then all I think is, how do I get to show women how fun this is? And I ended up getting in this opportunity where now I got invited to do this event where I teach women how to weld, and I watched the person who invited me talk and have conversations with women she had taught the year before who had built entire motorcycles and brought them to the bike show. And then she was teaching people who were making the trophies for the winner of the bike show. And then I met a woman who had, from learning the year before, started an entire company where she was making sissy bars with her husband, hired him, and was giving one away at the raffle at the event. And I was just like, the synergy of what it looks like when women learn to do a thing and are empowered to do a thing that they believe that they aren't allowed to do is so impactful. And so this idea that, like, when I was saying like they were wrong, it's like, it's because they don't know any better than we do, right? We're all here trying to figure it out, but we're used to the system where we're relegated to help and not to create and lead. And so, yeah, that belief system is super important.
And I have got the signal that we are approaching time, so I'm going to let Cory have the last word.
Real quick, just be fearless. A lot of the women in this room, we're in somewhat of an echo chamber. But what if you took what you know and you went to domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, you went to libraries, community centers, where the people are, because we're not going to accomplish a whole lot in this room, but if each of us brings in one woman, then you've done something spectacular. Be fearless about doing that.
Each one, reach one.
And go do it. No matter who you are or where you are, take that step and do it and learn and educate yourself. It doesn't matter if you see it on the stream, on the live stream, or you're sitting here. Just get up and learn and understand and jump in and bring your voice out. We all want to hear it.
Well, thank you all so much. Cory, Brooke, Camille, Becky, Mec, Tal, powerful woman in Web